Economists discuss Russia, China potentially developing gold-backed currency that could undermine US dollar. Russia and China may be developing gold-backed currency. Several experts have shared their views on Russia and China potentially creating a new gold-backed currency, Fox Business reported Saturday, emphasizing that China has been buying up huge quantities of gold while Russia was forced off the US dollar due to sanctions imposed on the country following its invasion of Ukraine. The news outlet noted that some experts have cautioned that these moves, along with the closer relationship that has developed between Moscow and Beijing, point to the likelihood of China attempting to launch a gold-backed currency. However, neither Russia nor China has officially confirmed plans for such a currency.
Awesome in a dramatic shift of the entire world economic order kind of way. What happened this week is absolutely groundbreaking and was probably the biggest story of the last 30 years, but it hardly got any news coverage at all. Does that surprise any of you? Seriously, one of the most important stories of our lifetime happened this week, and almost no one covered it. So what happened? While the United States was busy focused on January 6th hearings and whether or not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was wearing fake handcuffs during her arrest last week, Russia joined forces with China to create their own new reserve currency. Officially. Yes, it's happening, guys. Just let that sink in for a moment. Let that wash over you. Let me explain what this means. This means that the new reserve currency won't be the US dollar, for one thing, which is earth-shattering, right? But it's also earth-shattering for another few reasons. This new currency will be based on rare earth minerals, guys. Now, I've been saying this for a while, and that's why I'm personally investing in them, okay? Russia and China are moving their currency to gold, silver, uranium, nickel, copper, real tangible things, guys. This means that Russia and China are tying their country's fortunes to minerals that they bring out of the ground and then sell to the rest of the world. Just look at how Russia started stockpiling gold over the last 20 years, while the United States went further and further into debt and printing money. Just look at this chart. This is gold. Astonishing. And this was all happening right out there in the open. Here is a headline 2 years before the war with Ukraine broke out. China and Russia ditch dollar and move toward financial alliance. Yeah, and everyone else was ignoring it. And we've had some recent dollar strengthening a little bit, but that's peanuts compared to what's actually happening because these BRICS nations have been in the midst of a 20-year plan to de-dollarize, even before and working on denominating transactions outside of the United States dollar. It was another secret that was all right there out in the open for anyone to pay attention to. This is a massive challenge to the US dollar, which isn't based on gold or anything. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that it's based on air. Nothing, since we moved off the gold standard in the 1970s. It's actually based on debt. Yes, the US dollar is a debt-based currency, and the United States is $30 trillion in debt. So how do those two things work out for us, right? China and Russia are sitting on mountains of minerals that the United States and Europe are clamoring for. Frankly, they're begging for them, right? They'll place sanctions on Russia for almost everything else but the rare earth minerals that we need to survive. Kind of astonishing and hypocritical, if you ask me. The United States and Europe are facing a massive energy crisis of their own making. Not just because of Russian sanctions, yes, that's a major part of this, but because Western countries had years to become energy independent, and they blew it. Just look at Europe. They knew this was coming. They are solidifying their currency with real minerals, and the West is scrambling to figure out what the heck to do. So forget oil and gas for a minute. One of the most important minerals that comes from Russia is uranium. And did you know that the United States gets almost 50% of its uranium from Russia? Yeah, that's right. Now, how's that working out for us? Not very good. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has precipitated an already fast accelerating global nuclear industry, as nations now must try to fast track their pivots away from fossil fuels. So basically, in a nutshell, Russia has made it impossible for foreign leaders to trust Russia and China. And they're laughing all the way to the bank right now. And that means the United States and Europe are in dire need of its own uranium production, something they don't have. Now, something unthinkable happened just a year or two ago that no one really talked about. European lawmakers approved a law designating nuclear as a sustainable energy source as part of a system that was intended to influence direct investments in clean energy. Now, Russia supplies about 10% of the world's uranium, but it could cut off supply to the world's nations at any moment. We just saw what happened with Gazprom, right, and the natural gas pipeline to Germany.
Bloomberg has learned now that Gazprom actually declared force majeure on at least 3 European gas buyers.
And everyone was freaking out about it just because they shut it off for a few days, right? And so now Russia and China fully leverage energy dominance to their geopolitical advantage, and everyone else is scrambling. And America is dangerously close to losing our uranium fuel industry base. We are nearly completely dependent on foreign uranium imports. So we have state entities that provide America with uranium. Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. They're supplying almost half of all of the fuel used by America's nuclear reactor fleet. Think about that for a second. Our nuclear power plants, our nuclear reactors are reliant on Russia. Just let that sink in. And get this, nations that were previously dead set against nuclear energy proliferation are now leaning into nuclear-friendly initiatives because the proof is in the numbers, guys. Finland has recently started up its first nuclear reactor in over 40 years. The United Kingdom announced plans to increase nuclear capacity from 7 gigawatts to 24 gigawatts by the year 2050. France, which already depends on nuclear for 70% of its electricity, said it would reverse plans to shut down their older reactors. They're going to build another 6 new ones by the year 2050. See, everyone's getting on board, even Germany. Economic Ministry there considering extending the use of its 3 nuclear power plants as public support for nuclear energy increases due to the current fuel shortages and the prospect of a permanent cutoff of Russian gas. We just talked about Gazprom, right? And the Netherlands, not to be outdone, plans to build at least 2 new nuclear reactors in the coming years. Really, the United States and other nations have no choice except to adopt nuclear power as a fuel source because solar and wind are simply not going to get us there. We should all be concerned, and that's why we partner with the largest uranium producer in America to bring you this video. Uranium Energy Corporation, also known as UEC, is a uranium producer. There's no other company in the uranium sector that has greater upside potential compared with its risk profile. Now, the last time that I told you about UEC was last year, and at that point, their stock was $2 a share. Right now, as of this publication, their stock is at $3.23 a share. There are 2 new price targets out also this week that have UEC's stock price hitting $6.60 a share, and the other price target is $7.20 a share. That's why I invest in these companies, guys, because the incredible demand for minerals. Again, I'm a huge mineral bug and commodities bug, and I'm not the only one investing in UEC. The biggest shareholders of the company are Fidelity, BlackRock, UBS, so a lot of heavy hitters investing in UEC. We need uranium in the United States, and UEC is the largest company based in Texas that can get us off of Russian uranium. It's a dire scenario as the deficit is widening. Just listen to this. As of 2020, global uranium mine production covered only 74% of the world reactor requirements. So analysts expect the market deficit to continue through this year. We still need more uranium to keep up with the demand in these nuclear facilities. Meanwhile, the financial states that the U.S. domestic uranium industry is limited to just 1 remaining commercial enrichment plant owned by Urenco in New Mexico. That means there's virtually no U.S. uranium production, despite operating the world's largest nuclear reactor fleet. Think about that for a second. That is crazy town. And UEC is based in Texas, has already approved permits for uranium mining in the United States, which basically means that overnight it became the most important uranium player in the United States. Now, UEC is the fastest growing company to 100% unhedged pure uranium play company. It's listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the American stock ticker UEC. You can find it right there on the New York Stock Exchange. So if you're a big bull on uranium, there really isn't any other company that comes close to UEC. It's like a leveraged US ETF of uranium right now. And we should be embracing nuclear. It is a zero-emission, clean energy source. It generates power through fission, which is the process of splitting uranium atoms to produce energy. According to the Nuclear Energy Institute, the NEI, the United States avoided more than 471 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions in 2020. That's the equivalent of removing 100 million cars from the road and more than all of the other clean energy sources combined, thanks to nuclear. So our thanks to UEC for partnering on this video and supporting what we do on this channel. You can actually invest in this company directly as well on the New York Stock Exchange. Their stock ticker is UEC right here on your screen. Their stock price as of this morning of this publication, again, is $3.23 a share. So even buying $100 worth is really cheap. And if you look at their stock chart over the past year, it's up 39% on the year. Very nice. Very nice. And again, don't forget those price targets that we talked about earlier.